You can become someone great. I didn't believe this to be true for a long time in my life because I was doing nothing that allowed me to see that to be true. I used to live out of my ego. I spent the majority of my weekends drinking and doing drugs. I lacked belief and confidence. I was uneducated. I wasn't good at sports. I used to struggle to speak in front of groups of people. And I was riddled with fear that used to hold me back from stepping out of my comfort zone. So I didn't believe in myself at all. But as time's gone on and the more that I've worked on myself, in my eyes, I've been able to become a great person, achieve some incredible things, and create a life that I'm proud of. And I know that this is possible for you too. It wouldn't have been possible for me if I didn't implement these things that I'm going to show you today. If you know me or you've been coached by me, the most important thing that helped me transform my life is creating purpose. Now, if you've heard this from me over and over again, I still want you to listen to it, let it sink in. But if you haven't heard this from me before, this is exactly what I mean by purpose. Some people believe that you discover or you find your purpose, but I know that we create our purpose. And I've been able to help hundreds of people create purpose by understanding these 4 questions. The first question is, who do you want to be? So understanding exactly the type of person that you want to be in your life. What does that person look like? What skills does that person develop? What traits does that person have? What habits does that person have? If you could think about the ideal version of what you look like going into 2026 and beyond, what does that person look like? Is that person fit, healthy, disciplined, consistent, resilient, a morning person? Is that person great at sales, communication, leadership? It's understanding exactly what type of person that it is that you want to be, so then you can show up as that person every single day. And once you understand who it is that you want to be, you can move on to the second question. And the question 2 is, what goals do you want to achieve? Because if you know the type of person that you want to be, let's say it's fit, healthy, and athletic, what goals does that person achieve? Is it a half marathon? Is it a marathon? Is it losing a certain weight? Is it building muscle? When you understand who you want to be, you can match the exact goals of the person that you want to be. And then you can move on to question 3, which is, what life do you want to live? How do you want to spend your time going into 2026 and beyond? What do you want to do with your weekends? What do you want to wake up doing? This is your perfect and ideal chance to start creating and living your dream life. But then most importantly, after you understand who you want to be, the goals that you want to achieve, and the life that you want to live, you want to understand the 4th question. Why? Why do I want to be this person? Why do I want to achieve these goals? And why do I want to create that lifestyle? And this is your fuel source that will push you every single day. It's what's going to get you out of bed. When you're struggling, when you don't feel like going on, when times are hard, you've got this strong emotional reason why to get up every single day, being that person, looking to achieve them goals and create that dream lifestyle. And that is purpose to me. And by putting all of this together, that's number 1, been able to change my life and many other individuals that I've worked with, but also consistently push me, hold me accountable to elevate my life. Now, if you want to be able to put all of this together in the same framework that I use, click below and you'll see that I've got the new Become the Best You journal. This has got my exact framework in it and purpose statement that I use every single day to help me live my life with purpose. Education was key for me. Now bear with me a minute when I'm talking about education. As I mentioned, I was uneducated, and I'm not talking about school, science, maths and English. I was no good at school, and I actually didn't read my first book until I was 26. But when I'm talking about education, for me, I'm talking about personal development, personal growth, and reading other people's success stories. When I started to get obsessed with educating myself on these things, my life completely changed because I'd never been introduced to all of these types of readings before. And as I started to implement them, they improved my way of thinking, helped me build better habits and break habits, see what was actually possible for me. So I started changing my belief system, allowed me to develop a career in personal training and in coaching, and just completely helped me understand myself. And I got obsessed with it. I actually was so hesitant to first start reading because I thought I wasn't a great reader, but I give it a go. And as I started to read more and I started to improve my life, I got addicted to reading. I started taking speed reading courses, and it got to a point when I was reading a book every other day completely, and I was so obsessed because it helped me start to improve my life in massive ways. Now, when I'm talking about reading, I'm talking about education. I don't just mean reading books. I actually mean reading the book and implementing what that book's telling you. Because although I was reading all of these books, there was a time when I wasn't implementing a lot of it. So it was a bit of a waste of a time. But the more I started to read and the more I started to implement, that's when my life completely changed. And that's what I still do up until this day. I study 1 hour a day and I aim to implement everything that I read, because knowledge isn't power, applied knowledge is power. And what I would love you to do going into 2026 is educate yourself even more. Something that I find very useful is when I go into the year, I break the studying down into 4 quarters. So for the first quarter, I could study sales, for example. The second quarter might be leadership. The third quarter might be mindset. And the fourth quarter might be communication. And as I do that, it allows me to get a great understanding in each and every area that I'm trying to educate myself on. And I advise that for you. If you're someone right now that's reading but not implement, start implementing. If you're someone that's reading at all, start giving it a go. Or if you're someone that wants to dive even deeper into your education and understanding even more, I would break my year down and start diving deeper into each and every one of these topics that you're studying. Sobriety was key. And fuck me, this should have come a lot sooner than it did, but you live and you learn. Probably from the age of, 23, I knew that I should probably stop drinking and doing drugs, but there was no chance that I would have even entertained the idea, because number one, this is all I knew and my life was evolved around it. And number two, I didn't know anyone else that was sober at that time. So I just kept pushing on because that's what I thought life was about. But I actually stopped drinking at 28, and I probably knew that I should have stopped completely from about 25 to 27. But the truth was, at least I was making progress. I was making so much progress where it got to me doing it every week, to every other week, to once a month, back into that cycle of every week again. And it wasn't perfect, but I was making so much progression. But it got to the point when I realized that this is going to be the only thing that's going to hold me back from creating this purpose that I started to put together, like I've showed you. I really understood who I wanted to be in life. I understood what goals I would love to achieve, what life I would love to create, and I had a deep reason why to make all of this possible. But as I was making all of this progress, I would then go on a bender for a couple of days and feel like I was always back at square one again. So my self-belief and confidence was just completely disappeared. And it got to a point where I'm looking at myself saying, you want to be this person, achieve these goals and create this life, but you're a fucking fraud. There's no way that you're going to make all of this possible if you keep going on a bender every month or every 6 weeks, whatever it was at that time. And that's when I had to sit down with myself. I was around 28, and it was the decision to either live and create this purpose or half-ass my life. And I just didn't want to get to a point in my life where one day I'm going to have to look back in regret, knowing that I could have been someone great, achieved great things and create a great life. But the only thing that was going to stand in my way from making all of this possible was the drinking and doing drugs aspect. So that's from that day on, I just said I'm not doing it no more, and I've never gone back since. And it is the most respectful thing that I've personally ever done with myself. Now, some people watching this may not need to go sober. Some of you might need to go sober, or some of you might need to cut it down. I don't push sobriety on people because I think it's up to everyone. And it's their own decision what they would love to make. Me personally, I needed it because I wanted to do some great things with my life. And every time I'd done it, it just took me back to a dark place and a dark time in my life. So for me, it was needed. For you, I'll just ask yourself the honest question. Going into 2026 and beyond, or looking back into 2025, did it contribute positively to your life? If it did, then keep it in. If you was doing it too much, maybe you need to cut it down. Or if it was something that's completely holding you back from everything that you want to achieve, just have a think about what it is that you want for your life and who you want to be. And if it is something that's holding you back, just consider cutting it down for a little while to see how much your life changes. Persistence has been key. I've failed at everything that I've tried. I failed at going sober 6 times. I failed in past relationships. I failed in business. I failed at building better habits. I failed at my fitness goals. But one of the things that I've never done is quit. Persistence has been key to helping me succeed in my life. Persistence to me just means never giving up. Doesn't matter how many times you fall down or how much your back's against the wall or how many times that you fail. If you just keep going, you will eventually get what it is that you want. And don't get me wrong, this has been a gift and a curse in my life. I actually didn't stop drinking for so many years because I felt like I was quitting and giving up. That's how persistent I was. I was like, I'm going to try a new way to understand how I can get around this thing. Maybe it's 1 drink this time or 2 drinks, but I would always end up coming up short. And the reason being was because I was unconscious. I had all of these ideas and plans, but when it come to it and I started to drinking, all of the ideas and plans went out the window. So the best thing that I should have done then is just stop. But flipping it on the other side, having persistence has allowed me to get everything. I might have failed at going sober, but I eventually have become 4 years and 8 months sober. I might have failed at the business, but now my business is a success. I failed in past relationships, but now it is a great relationship. I failed in my fitness and my fitness goals, and now I've succeeded in all of these goals. And that is just because I've been persistent. Every time I've failed and got knocked down, I understood the lesson. I come back wiser and stronger and applied the lesson. And that's enabled me to get everything that it is that I want in my life. And something that really helps me is just a mantra that I say to myself: you will not lose if you don't quit. And that's something that I'd love you to repeat yourself going into 2026. Have a think about a goal that you'd love to achieve. Have a think about a habit that you'd love to build and a bad habit that you'd love to break down. And set in your mind that you will not lose if you don't quit. And you're going to go and get whatever it is that you want this year. So I promise you now, if you have an idea in your mind, you say to yourself, I will not stop until I get this thing. And you go after whatever it is that you want, and you do not stop until you get it. It will be unreasonable for you not to get it. Regardless of the external circumstances or how many times you fail, if you just say to yourself, I will not lose if I don't quit, one day you will eventually get what it is that you want. Persistence is key. I can't express this enough, but keeping my word has been one of the keys to allowing me to become the man that I want to be. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. If I say I'm getting up at 4 o'clock, I get up at 4. Not 4:10, not 4:30. If I say that I'm going to go for a run at 4:30 and it's raining and cold outside, I'll go for a run outside at 4:30. Not at 5 o'clock, not later in the evening, not tomorrow or indoors in the treadmill. When I say I'm going to do it and what I say I'm going to do. If I say that I'm going to stay in at the weekend and not drink, I stay in and I don't drink. Everything that I say I'm going to do, I aim to keep my word. And that has been absolutely key to transforming my life and allows me to consistently stay mentally strong and resilient. By keeping my word, it's enabled me to build discipline, self-belief, confidence, consistency, better habits, a better structure, and allowed me to become so mentally resilient. And every time I'm keeping my word, not just on the big things, but on the small little promises, I feel so in control of my life. It's a fucking joke. And don't get me wrong, I've not been perfect. I've failed many times and I still fail to this day at keeping my word. But if I keep my word at least 90% of the time, I am in such a great spot in my life. And that is the difference from being mentally resilient to someone that is not in control mentally in their life. It's just keeping your word, keeping your promise. When you say you're going to do something, show up and execute on that. if I'm honest with you, outside of everything that I've said today, if there's something that you want to do or improve that's going to allow you to become someone great, achieve great things, and create a great life, it is going to be just keeping your word. Deep down, you know what it is that you need to do. So when you say you're going to do it, show up and execute on it. Think about this year. Think about where you need to be keeping your promises, and are there any promises that you've been breaking that you know that you need to keep. This is going to be key to allowing you to become someone great in your life. I just want to let you know again that you can become someone great. There are no special people or exceptions out there, and there's individuals that have achieved some incredible things with their life that have come from far worse places than me and you. But I've been able to do it with my life because I put purpose in place, I educated myself, I committed to sobriety, I stayed persistent, and I kept my word. And if you want to make 2026 the year that you reach your potential and not look back again and say, what if? I recommend that you implement some of this stuff that I've mentioned today.